All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to get into something we all deal with, that complex, sometimes messy landscape inside our own heads. We're going to be looking at the teachings of Eunsook Kim to really understand two huge forces in our lives, shame and fear. And more importantly, we're going to talk about a real path to start healing from them.
So let's just start with a check-in, right here, right now. How are you actually feeling? Seriously, maybe you're feeling pretty good, calm. Maybe there's a little bit of anxiety buzzing around, or maybe you just feel kind of off. Whatever it is, just for a second, just notice it.
You know, it's really helpful to think of our emotions as our inner weather. Some days, it's all sunshine, everything's great. But other days, you get those storms rolling in. Sadness, anger, fear. It can feel totally unpredictable. And you know what? That's completely normal. The point isn't to somehow stop the weather, but to learn how to navigate it when it comes. But here's a really powerful idea to consider. What if those storms, all those uncomfortable feelings, aren't just random static? What if they're actually signals, like a check engine light for our soul, pointing us towards something inside that's ready to be healed? So that's what we're going to do. Learn to read those signals and find our way through.
Okay, let's tackle one of the biggest emotional storms out there, shame. Now, it is so important to get this. Shame is way more than just feeling guilty about something you did. It's a direct hit on your identity, on the very core of who you think you are.
And this right here, this is the crucial difference. Guilt is about your actions. It says, what I did was bad. And honestly, that can be useful. It can push us to apologize, to fix things. But shame is about your identity. It doesn't say you did something bad. It whispers, I am bad. And that doesn't lead to repair. It just makes you want to hide. Wow. This quote from Eunsook Kim just makes it so incredibly real. She talks about how her identity was attacked before she even took her first breath, just for being born a woman. Think about that. It was a shame that had nothing to do with her actions, but it was placed on her anyway. It just shows how deep this stuff can go and how it can convince us we're flawed at our very core. So, what's the result of all this shame? Well, we start building walls. We put on masks. We create these protective shields so nobody can see the bad part of us we're so convinced is there. But the tragic irony is that those shields we build to protect ourselves, they eventually become a prison that locks us away from everyone else and even from our true selves.
So what's fueling this prison of shame? Well, a lot of the time, it's this powerful engine we've got running inside our own minds. We're talking about that negative self-talk loop. You know the one. That inner critic that just seems to be on 24/7, telling you all the ways you don't measure up.
And this cycle is incredibly fast and powerful. Look at how it works. It all starts with one negative thought, right? Just one little message, like, I'm going to mess this up. But then that thought becomes a kind of self-prophecy. You start expecting to fail. And because you're so braced for failure, well, you end up creating that exact reality, which, of course, just proves that original negative thought was right all along. It's a vicious, self-fulfilling loop.
And the really tough part? This isn't some slow, logical process we can just think our way out of. This loop runs at lightning speed. It's a habit, a well-worn path in our brain that's so automatic it feels like it's just who we are. Trying to stop it with sheer willpower can feel totally impossible. Okay, so if we can't just fight our way out, how in the world do we break free? Well, the answer is kind of a game changer. It's not about trying harder. It's not about just thinking more positive thoughts. The real turning point is shifting from isolation to connection. It's all about what we can call the power of witness.
See, just trying to change your thoughts often doesn't work because shame and fear are relational problems at their core. They get their power when we feel utterly alone in our struggle. So the real healing happens when we heal our relational brain, when we cultivate a deep, felt sense that a safe, loving presence is with us, right in the middle of it all.
And the core practice to cultivate this is surprisingly simple. It's about pausing, right in the middle of the emotional storm, and just asking a question. The source material suggests, Jesus, where are you right now? But really, the core idea is about inviting a secure, loving, non-judgmental presence into your experience. It's about intentionally breaking that pattern of being alone in your pain.
And here is the amazing part. Every time you do this, every time you pause and invite that presence in, you are literally rewiring your brain. You're weakening those old automatic highways of shame and fear, and you're building a new neural pathway, one of connection, safety, and security. You're teaching your brain a new habit, to turn toward connection instead of hiding in isolation.
And here's a pretty amazing little detail that really supports this idea. The phrase, "do not be afraid," is said to appear in the Bible 365 times. Now, whether that number is perfectly exact or not, the message is undeniable, right? It's like a daily prescription, a daily reminder that this supportive presence is always, always available.
Okay, so let's pull all this theory down to earth. Let's talk about a practical, hands-on toolkit. These are things you can actually do, starting today, to begin that process of rewiring your inner world.
All right, let's walk through these. First, wash out the negativity with gratitude. Actively look for things to be thankful for. It literally changes the chemical weather in your brain. Second, when you feel that storm rising, just slow down. Count to 10. It sounds so simple, but it acts like a circuit breaker, giving your brain and your body a second to catch up. Third, and this one is huge, practice this withness when you're already calm. It's like training a muscle. You build the strength in times of peace so you can use it in a crisis. And finally, the source talks about a spiritual practice, intentionally picturing yourself leaving those burdens of shame and fear at the cross, and in exchange receiving a new identity rooted in grace.
And please hear this. The goal is not perfection. It's not about never feeling fear or shame again. You're going to fall back into old patterns. We all do. That's okay. This whole journey isn't about being perfect. It's just about being willing again and again and again to just turn back toward connection.
So I want to leave you with this one last question to think about. We spend so much energy treating our fear and our shame like weaknesses, like things we need to get rid of. But what if they're not? What if instead your deepest fear is actually a doorway, an invitation to discover a kind of connection and wisdom you never even knew was possible?